Right then, this is a bold title. Is Aaron Wan-Bissaka finished at Manchester United? When Wan-Bissaka was signed for 50 mil, I was very excited.
Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace Football Club. The reason for that is because we think that Wan-Bissaka could be very, very much on his way to Manchester United.
Coming in on the back of a very, very promising first season at Crystal Palace, what we saw was a defender in a team that had to defend. He didn't have a lot to do attackingly, and it was an obvious weakness that we all saw at the time. But I think a lot of us, and certainly I felt, do you know what? You can pick up a little bit of that game, and he's had Zaha in front of him. You're not really linking up anyway, are you, there with him? You're just going to develop that side of your game when you get to United, but he's shown a lot of potential. The performances he put in, especially from a defensive standpoint, were absolutely sensational. And is 50 million a lot? Yeah, damn right, 50 million's a lot. And we paid way over the odds for both him and Maguire that summer. You've got the English tax, you've got the fact he's young and going to have a resale value, and he's just come in hot off the end of a season. And now fullbacks are going for 50 million for some reason because of Manchester City. And you go, right, is this what we got to do? Is this what we're... Okay, let's see. Now, he's been here a little while. And I think... I'm not sure if the jury's out or if we know exactly the sort of player that he's going to be. And I actually think he's developed an attacking side to his game. I just don't think he's developed it far enough or deeply enough to be able to call himself a top fullback or even worthy of £50 million. He is the antithesis of a modern day fullback. Modern day fullbacks are real footballers. They can attack. Generally, they can defend. Maybe not as well as Wan-Bissaka does 1v1, but they can defend. They're quite key players in almost every single system. I would say modern football is increasingly becoming a fullback's game. When you think about, you can think of like several different styles of football. Look at Ralph Rangnick's 4-2-2 system. Fullbacks, absolutely key. When you look at Jurgen Klopp's 4-3-3, fullbacks, both sides, absolutely key. You look at Pep Guardiola's system, 4-3-3, inverted fullbacks, people who hold possession, become de facto number 8s, absolutely key. Fullbacks in any system are key players that have to be able to have a high degree of football IQ, high degree of technical ability, and a high degree of quality and in terms of output when they play. This season, the stats do not look good. 18 games for Wan-Bissaka, 0 goals, 0 assists. In the same time, essentially a little bit more, 19 games, Trent's got 2 goals and 11 assists. In 20 games, Reece James has got 5 goals and 6 assists, although he plays a tiny bit higher than... Well, technically he plays a little bit higher than Trent, but realistically they basically play the same role. And then Cancelo, who does play a little bit of a different role, in 24 games, 3 goals and 7 assists. So you can see that statistically he's not comparable to the rest of the best players in the league that are currently playing for teams that we're trying to compete with. And he's only got 2 goals and 10 assists in 118 Manchester United games. His strength is undeniably his 1v1 defensive capabilities. His agility, his timing of slide tackles is otherworldly. I've genuinely never seen one player with an attribute that perfect. But it is the only attribute that he's got that comes in close scrutiny. He's pretty quick, not blistering. I think Kyle Walker might have the edge on him in terms of pace. Kyle Walker might have the edge on almost everybody. But the rest of his defensive game, his positioning, too often him and Luke Shaw both find themselves defending our goal by facing our goal, and that's not how you defend your goal. You defend your goal by facing the enemy. You defend your goal by facing the opposition, by watching balls coming in and also being able to see the opposition. You can't face it when you're looking at your goalkeeper. You can't defend it with your back to the threats. And we see that far too often from Wan-Bissaka. We see strikers coming in from blindsiding him, right in front of him, to be able to get their heads onto a ball. And it's a weakness that we've seen the likes of Watford mention that they were going to try and exploit and then exploit it. And going forward, in possession, under Ralph Rangnick, we've not seen it. Under Ole, you see him in possession a lot because United went laterally from centre half all the time. Shaw got it a lot. Shaw was in possession so much. Wan-Bissaka got it and he was in possession so much. Didn't progress as much as Shaw did down the right for several reasons. One is ability on the ball, but two is there was never anyone occupying the same sort of space. Manchester United are a very left-sided focused team. Shaw gets it, he progresses it to Pogba, he progresses it to Rashford, he progresses it by dribbling with it because he can dribble with it. You get on the right-hand side, Wan-Bissaka can either drive into the absolute acres of space that's afforded in front of him, which he does to an occasion, but rarely is there somebody ahead of him to link up. Whoever it is that's linking up ahead of him has generally popped inside because they're either a number 10 like Jesse Lingard, that's just playing on the right-hand side to play on the right-hand side. It's Mason Greenwood, who might be playing on the right-hand side, but the guy's really a striker. Or it's just nobody there whatsoever, so he's kind of the only outlet on that right-hand side. No one for him to progress the ball to, nobody for him to link up with and try and 2v1 against an opposition fullback. And then when he's on the ball anyway, he's got a really awkward sort of in-possession style. He doesn't look comfortable. He doesn't look like a... You see Cancelo on the ball, you see Trent on the ball, as much as I hate to say it. You see someone comfortable, focused, aware of what they're going to do, and knowing what their abilities are about. He kind of upsets the balance of the team going forward. All our threat goes down the left because of the link-ups that happen down the left. Even Bruno gets involved on that left-hand side. And also, teams kind of let him have the ball. If you're lining up a back four, you all shuffle over to United's left and your own right, and you go very narrow, looking at Shaw and Pogba and Bruno and Rashford, and latterly even Ronaldo drifts over to that left-hand side. And who's the right winger? Greenwood. Well, don't worry about him because he's right in the centre of the D, so we can mark him. Who's that over there? Wan-Bissaka. Fucking worry about him. And you can stay being +1 on this lot because you ain't got to worry about marking him over there at left back. When a team lines up in a low block, he becomes a liability. Because when you're facing a team that's in a low block, obviously they're very compact, they're very narrow. You're looking for your creative players. They're going to be surrounded by 2 or 3 bodies, very tight to them, looking to try and close that net, close those gaps anytime you try and force the ball into those little tight areas. Which means, again, the fullback becomes the almost de facto outlet. Your centre-half sometimes are going to get pressed by opposition forwards, but the fullback's generally just left alone because they're not likely to hurt you. Even one of the bonuses of the way Liverpool play is Trent's very rarely pressed. He gets the ball out of his feet and he gets his head up and he's able to put crosses in because they're too busy dealing with Mo Salah and thinking about where the midfield and the strikers are going to go, rather than get it out there to the fullback. Maybe that's something that people need to look at when they face Liverpool, knowing how good their fullbacks are in possession. But generally, it's something that Trent gets a little bit more time on the ball, certainly when he's near the halfway line. Obviously, he gets less when he gets into the final third. But that makes him a liability for United because you're not going to use him as the reason that you're going to unpick a lock like a defence. And he hasn't shown the level of progression that we all really hoped for him to do from fullback. Is it now too late? Diogo Dalot was given an opportunity. And without making the excuses that have been made for Donny van der Beek of he hasn't played very much, how can you expect him to thrive with what's around him? He got given the shirt and he went, cool, thank you. And then put in a performance. And that performance has earned the trust of Ralph Rangnick. Now, obviously, Wan-Bissaka's gone and picked up an injury, which certainly gives Dalot a bit more confidence in that position. But I think he's taken a step backwards this season. The arrival of Ralph Rangnick and the style of fullback that he's looking for, there was a bit of a prejudice existing there from Ralph Rangnick in terms of Luke Shaw, as we'd all seen that TV interview where he sort of said, like, Shaw is not the sort of quality fullback that Manchester United need. And Luke Shaw signed himself out of the team. I actually think Luke Shaw is going to be afforded a real chance to show what he can do under Ralph Rangnick, because I think just the political pressure will exist and be there for him to do that, to give him a fair crack of the whip and not be accused of making your mind up before you even arrived there with him. I think he'll be given a more than fair crack of the whip, but Teller's the one getting the nod at the moment. Dalot's come in, playing with confidence and delivering quality. Wan-Bissaka's really going to struggle to get in. Early signs show that the preference for Dalot because he's a better footballer, even though I think he's significantly weaker 1v1 defending, is fullback, particularly where the modern game's going, a major area for concern. United have got £80 million worth of fullbacks that aren't currently playing at the moment. Are we as a club someone that can actually afford to do that? Is there a way back into the team for Wan-Bissaka? Or does the performance of Ethan Laird on loan and the excitement around another potential academy graduate being given an opportunity in Ethan Laird, is the performance of Brandon Williams on loan at Norwich a cause for concern for Wan-Bissaka? Now, as United fans, we should be just happy days, because if there's competition, it's going to bring out the best in all the players, and you'll ultimately end up benefiting by having the best possible option and the one who's had to fight and get his way into the team. There'll also be pressure on them to maintain that because of the competition that exists. So as fans, it shouldn't really matter to us. But from Wan-Bissaka's perspective, should he start looking over his shoulder? Because his position has been pretty assured. When Solskjaer paid that money for him, he put him in almost every single team. Is Wan-Bissaka's reign as a first choice right back for Manchester United over? Interested to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.